So we are looking ahead to match number 8 in this year's IPL between Punjab and Chennai. It's once again an interesting game that will be played at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. We saw a low-scoring thriller on last night, in fact, on Thursday night. Will it once again be a low-scoring game? We'll have to wait and see. Chennai has been masters of low-scoring thrillers, but when it comes to Punjab, they are a side packed with big hitters. At this point, I am joined by Fantasy Gully expert Babashish Nanda to get all the top fantasy picks for this match. Babashish, welcome back. Give us the top 5 fantasy picks for this game.
Hi, Rekha. So glad to be here again. For this game, again, as you mentioned, a blockbuster contest right at the surface of it. Our top 5 picks, well, some of them, they really picked themselves, Rekha, with the form that KL Rahul has shown, and specifically with his record at Wankhede. I mean, what? Average of 71, striking them at more than 152. He comes in with a Fantasy Gully rating of 10 out of 10. We've been harping on that. And yes, so he walks in straight away. Suresh Raina has been striking them really clean. Moeen Ali, well, he would like to take any opportunity, any and every opportunity that comes his way. So will someone like Sam Curran. And to be really honest, I mean, you're not looking beyond someone like Chris Gayle. So these are our top picks for the game.
Suresh Raina, he switched on from the word go. How does he fare in the fantasy ratings for this game?
Well, I mean, there are certain humanitarian factors that you need to take in consider, even when you're playing something like a fantasy cricket. Well, as an organization, I think CSK has made sure, Chennai has made sure that Suresh Raina is very sure of the position he's in and where he's at. And that assurance is sort of transformed into the shots and the decisions that Raina is making on the field. And that tells you that he averages about, 40 fantasy points per match? But in the last game, we saw him going beyond. He got about 79 points. And specifically against Punjab, he takes it a notch higher. He scored about 814 runs. That is about 45 fantasy points on an average. So you can expect him to come good again.
Would you expect him once again to come in at number 4?
I do. I really think that CSK does put a lot of faith on Raina's experience. And when you're batting at number 4, you're almost dictating the tempo of the innings. So yeah, they trust him to do that. And I hope he does that well.
When we talk about CSK, it's a side that is packed with all-rounders and foreign recruits. How do these all-rounders stack up against each other in terms of fantasy ratings?
You're spot on there, Rekha. I mean, all 3 of them, to be very honest, they bring different aspects of fantasy points scoring altogether. If you compare all 3 of them just on the basis of their fantasy analysis, just on the basis of numbers, well, you can clearly see that someone like a Sam Curran and a Moeen Ali probably have a higher Fantasy Gully rating. That tells you that they're probably more consistent. What you do get with someone like Dwayne Bravo, and having said that, in Chennai so far, Pacers have been picking a wicket in every 17 balls. So let's eliminate Moeen Ali from this discussion right now. And let's look at only Sam Curran and Dwayne Bravo. But what Dwayne Bravo brings specifically on a pitch like this is that he's got 19 wickets in the last 13 matches playing against in this venue. And specifically against Punjab, he's got Mayank Agarwal out once, he's got Chris Gayle out twice, and he's got Deepak Hooda out twice as well. So for this fixture, even though Dwayne Bravo comes in with a slightly less Fantasy Gully rating, we expect him to come good.
But would you say if the choice is between Sam Curran and Dwayne Bravo, it should be Sam Curran ahead of Bravo?
That is the perspective that I wanted to lay out, Rekha, that just on the basis of fantasy analysis, current form, you might opt for someone like Sam Curran, but and put that in significance while they're picking their team. So as far as data is concerned, with the individual performance of Dwayne Bravo on this venue, specifically against Punjab, that might tip him over as well.
Right. And who are the other picks that you expect from Punjab to come good? What about using someone like a Ravi Vishnui in place of Murugan Ashwin?
Oh, fantastic. Again, I mean, this is the luxury that all of these IPL teams carry, They carry these phenomenal individual match winners so they can bring them in if needed. Now, if you compare someone like Murugan Ashwin and Ravi Vishnui, both are leg spinners. Both are very traditional modern day leg spinners, if there is a phrase you can use. But if you look at their fantasy numbers, fantasy gully rating of 7.1 for Ravi Vishnui as compared to 6.5 of Murugan Ashwin. Again, Vishnoi tips Ashwin in terms of average fantasy points. Also, Vishnoi is someone who comes in with a higher X factor. Remember, Vishnoi got a lot of success in the recently concluded Syed Mushtaq Ali as well. So if they're considering all that, and if it's spinning again, well, they can bring Vishnoi in straight away.
This game.
Well, a couple of them really, but as I just mentioned, Ravi Vishnoi, well, he's someone, he doesn't pick like 1 or 2 wickets. He's got this knack or habit of picking like 3-4 wickets at once. So yeah, if he goes on, he's someone you can really count on and get you big points out of nowhere.
Let me ask you also about the budget picks for this game.
Well, because we did spoke about the fact that they're giving these players a little bit of an opportunity. So someone like Deepak Hooda, with the way that he's performed in the very recent past, he might get a go again in that batting order. And if he gets enough game time, Deepak Hooda is an absolute budget pick you should look out for.
And finally, your fantasy 11 for this game.
Well, I mean, a couple of names again. I mean, KL Rahul, you gotta have him in your fantasy 11. I mean, such has been his form. Followed by your batsmen, they're very consistent. Someone like Suresh Raina, Pat du Plessis. Even with that first ball duck, you expect Pat du Plessis to come good. Chris Gale, Ruturaj Gaikwad, I mean, these are your batsmen. Deepak Hooda slots in there just because he's batting higher order. Couple of all-rounders, you can pick either any two of Moeen Ali, Sam Curran and Dwayne Bravo, depending on what sort of a strategy you're going ahead with. I'll advise you to keep 3 proper bowlers. So you can either go with all 3 of them being your pacers, so that they are Shardul Thakur, Mohammad Shami, Ashdeep Singh. But you're looking for a spinner and wait for the toss, really wait for the toss. If they bring Vishnoi in, that's a good option.
Babashish, a lot of IPL fans have been watching us and also wanting to know the method behind picking a fantasy team. Could you talk them through the method that you use and the various, algorithms that you use to find out the best fantasy picks?
Sure, Rekha. I mean, this is a question we deal with every day here at Fantasy Gully, and we sort of take pride in cracking a method in this entire madness. So I'll give them a quick set of pointers that they can follow on an everyday basis. So first, of course, you got to be very sure of what sort of a strategy you are going in with. So if you consider yourself as a high risk player, you got to bang or pick on high risk players who can give you those high risk points. If you're looking for a safe sort of a strategy, someone like KL Rahul, well, is going to perform day in and day out. So you got to be sure of what sort of a strategy you are. First thing. Second thing, do your homework. Watch, shows like this, the Fantasy Gully show. Understand where this data is coming from. What sort of a player is going to play in what sort of a role. That's your second thing. Third thing, because we're in such a different world altogether, people are getting into quarantine, they're getting outside the bubble. So these things are changing. They're very dynamic. So wait for the player news, be updated there. And of course, wait for the team announcement as well. So once the toss happens, therein the game starts. You got to look for the updated 11s if you're getting on Fantasy Gully or on NDTV. And last but not the least, you get 100 credits. Make sure that you maximize them.
Right. So those are the markers. If you want to pick your own fantasy team, listen to Babashish and all the Fantasy Gully experts that we keep bringing you through the IPL season. Thank you very much for joining us.